Hello, manifestors. Today I'm going to answer a question that I am often asked. And this question is, how do I know that my actions are inspired? This is a question that I read and hear a lot, so stay tuned until the end of this video to get the answer once for all. And please subscribe if you are new here. Also, share my videos, comment, and give me a thumbs up. So this will help my video to be seen by more people who desperately need the information that I share because many of them are so confused right now. If you need my personal help, I am a manifesting coach. I do one-on-one coaching and email coaching. So check the links down below. I also have a Facebook group where I share some valuable help as well. So when you want to do something, how do you know that it's an inspired action and when it isn't? Well, the first thing is this. If you are about to do something and you feel like you need to ask someone else if you should do it, or even ask yourself, your ego self, your human self, if you should do it, it's not an inspired action. All right? Remember that. Every time you want to ask the question, if this is an inspired action, about anything that you want to do, it's not inspired. It's not an inspired action. Now, before I go any further, I'm not saying that you should never take any action unless they are inspired, okay? That's not what we're talking about here. There are many actions that we have to take every day that are not inspired. They just need to be done, okay? So we are not into the topic of discussing you should just sit down all day long and never take any action unless they are inspired. We are just discussing when there is something very important that you feel that you want to do or should do, and if you want to know if it's inspired or not. All right, that's what we're talking about. So what do I say that you never ask the question when it's inspired? Well, because when it's inspired, you feel a pull inside you to do that thing, to take that action. And the last thing on your mind is asking anyone or asking even yourself if you should or should not do it. For example, when I decided that I did not want to be a relationship coach anymore and that I wanted to focus on being a manifesting coach, I took an inspired action to delete my relationship group and to start my manifesting group, Neville Goddard Techniques. And I never asked myself the question, not even a second, should I do that? I felt the pull, the need to do that. And when I started my group, I remember two very specific manifesting groups out there that had already up to the hundreds of members. And one of them, I think it was about already 1,000 members. And when I look at those two groups, those two specific groups today as I'm making this video and compare the number of members that they have to mine, it's unbelievable. My group, which I started much after they started theirs, has passed the number that they've got big time. So I'm not saying this to brag, but I can see that this is the result of taking an inspired action. When I started the group, when I started my Facebook group, I knew that I had to do it. I knew that I could fill a need. Among all the other manifesting Facebook groups out there, I knew that I could do something that I'm not seeing in any other groups. And believe me, I used to belong to a lot of them, and I still belong to a few of them. So I know what they're doing. I see what they're doing. And the result is you don't know how many times I have been told privately or in the group how much my group was better than the other groups. And when I read those comments, I know that this was really an inspired action. That's how I felt it, and it was an inspired action. Same thing with my manifesting coaching packages. I started creating a page for the packages on my old website that has nothing to do with manifesting, but I had to do it that day. And interestingly enough, it was a Sunday afternoon. I do not work. I do not do anything related to work on Sunday afternoons. I usually take care of my own family. I do not work. I do not do anything related to work on Sunday afternoons. But that Sunday afternoon, I was pulled to take an action. I had to make a temporary manifesting coaching packages page. So I did it. I did not second guess myself. I didn't have to ask someone else if I should do it. I knew I had to do it. So this is when you know that you have an inspired action. You have zero doubt. You're not asking to anyone, not even yourself. You just go ahead and do it without second guessing yourself. So usually when people ask the question, a lot of times it's related to their specific person and they want to contact that specific person, let's say, and they're asking, okay, I feel that I should contact him or her. Is it an inspired action? They're asking the question. Well, if you have to ask me if you should contact your specific person, it's not an inspired action. Because if it was inspired, you wouldn't even have the time to ask me or anyone else. You would do it. So remember that. If you're asking me, if you're taking the time to write down in a message or an email or a post on my Facebook group, if you should contact your specific person or any other action about any other topic that you want to take, that you're not sure you should take, you know right then and there, if you want to ask the question, if you haven't done it already, it is not an inspired action. Now, if we reversed engineer this, let's say someone is suggesting you because it's been 5-6 months you haven't heard from your SP, for example, and you are talking to a friend and that person says, oh, well, it's been a while. Don't you want to be sure? Don't you want to be sure that he's still or she's still interested in you? Why don't you send him or her a message? And that goes even against what you feel that you should be doing. So that's reverse engineering inspired actions. You don't really want to do this. You don't feel that you should, but you are second guessing yourself and you are trusting someone else to be more knowledgeable than you are, more inspired than you are. And because they are suggesting you that you should try, you should go ahead and contact your specific person. So you go ahead and you do it. And the reply that you're getting from your specific person is not at all what you expected. This has happened to many people, me included. When you take an action that you already know you shouldn't do it, but you are trusting someone else that has nothing to do with your story, you are trusting that someone else to go ahead and take that action. Most of the time, that's not going to be a good idea because it's completely opposite of an inspired action. It's an action that you took because you were told that you should. So the difference is between an inspired action and a forced action is that an inspired action, because it's your God self pushing you to do that thing, the result will always be positive, will always be in your favor. But if you take an action just because you feel that you should, because someone else encouraged you to do it, when you know better, you really actually, if you go inside and ask yourself, your God self, you'll know that you shouldn't do it. But if you go ahead and do it against that, well, more times than not, the result is not going to be to your liking, because that has nothing to do with your God self. This has everything to do with your human self, ego self, and 3D based self. So those actions, and I'm talking about important actions here. I'm not talking about everyday little actions that you need to take on a regular basis consciously. Those big actions that you take against yourself, against your God self, so to speak, they will never, never, ever bring you the expected result. Now, someone asked me, how do I get more inspired action? How do I get more inspired action? Well, the first thing is, when you need to take an inspired action, you will, okay? Don't worry about that. But if what you mean is you want to be more in tune with your higher self, with your God self, well, you need to get into the habit, which I mentioned many times before. You need to get into the habit of being quiet for at least 15 minutes a day. You just sit down or lie down, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and say the I am prayer, for example. The I am prayer is very easy. You just repeat over and over in your head, in your mind, the phrase I am. I am. I am. You repeat that over and over in your mind. And if you do this at least 15 minutes, you know what's 15 minutes? That's really ridiculously short, okay? That's nothing. Everybody has 15 minutes in a day, no matter what you do. Take 15 minutes for yourself, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths for about 20-30 seconds, and then start the I am prayer. This is going to bring you closer and closer to your higher self, to your God self, and further away from your ego human self. And if you want to have more inspired actions, well, that is going to definitely help you to have more inspired actions, feelings, and take more inspired action to help you in every area of your life. So I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Like the video and share the video. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.